Hi, and welcome to Cross Stitch the Globe. This is Flosstube number 1, and this is a channel about cross stitch and potentially other fiber arts as we get sucked into this world further and further. My name is Stephanie, and this is
Allison. Hi.
We are sisters. We live in Oklahoma. Well, we live in the Oklahoma City metro. And we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit, and then we're going to do the typical Flosstube rundown of finishes, new starts, WIPS, plans. So
All the stuff.
All the stuff, because
the
we've
stuff.
watched way too much Flosstube this summer. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Allison. I've been cross-stitching for about 5 years now. I am a monogamous cross-stitcher. I learned that word on Flosstube. Didn't know that. But I also didn't know that there was a difference. I didn't know how many different styles and options and stuff of cross-stitch. So you'll mostly see me just working on one bap. That's the word I'm using.
She does a lot of babs.
I do a lot of baps. So it's gonna be fun.
But she currently has 3 or 4, no, you have 3 current WIPs. So that's a big deal. Flosstube is changing her brain, so we'll see in a couple months where she's at.
The world is opening up. Let's just put it that way.
How did you start cross-stitching? I actually don't know.
Well, from when we were little, I cross-stitched with our grandmother, and then kind of got out of it. But I'm crafty. I wouldn't say I'm artsy, but I'm definitely
a multi-crafter.
I'm a multi-crafter,
which I learned from the Giddy Stitcher. You're a that's a thing. It's not.
Thing.
It's yeah.
I'm not scatterbrained. I am a multi-crafter. So, but I think it was when we bought our first house, I wanted to do something nice for the wall. So I was like, I'm just gonna do a really big cross stitch of a football field for my husband, and that's how I got into it. I did.
So
black and white. Like, how big is it? This thing is black and white. It's about that big. It's of the Packers field, Lambeau Stadium. So
we live in Oklahoma City.
And he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. But that is his team, and that is what I did for my loving husband. So after I did that, I realized like how cool it was that I had this giant like photograph now in cross stitch, and I just really love that. So I've been doing that.
Her stuff is really cool. We're gonna save her finishes for we'll do like a finish braid some other time of all of her finishes, because until yesterday, every cross stitch finish you have that you didn't throw away, which is a whole other story, are like full coverage 8x10 or bigger.
One of my wedding flowers is little,
but mostly 8x10 or bigger. Full coverages that she has created herself with no patterns. So that will be a fun video. So I got into cross stitch because she asked me if there was a photo of my son that she could cross stitch for my parents. And so I sent her one that I thought would be, I didn't really know like what would make a good cross stitch pattern, but I sent one that I thought was pretty, and also he was like looking away at the water. It's a beach scene, so
that's so cute.
It wouldn't be. And we entered it in the state fair, so stay tuned in a couple weeks to see what happens with that. But it's really pretty. But I hadn't really thought about getting into cross stitch myself, because when we were growing up, we had she wasn't really our grandmother, but she was basically our grandmother who did a lot of sewing, and so when we were little, we would go over to her house and we would like do little quilts and make little projects, and she taught us all kinds of stuff. I mean, I was so comfortable on a sewing machine. It's like it was a language, and it's also like a language I've since forgotten.
Yeah, you really need to
keep it up. But that's what watching Flosstube is really fun, because I'm like, oh, people who cross stitch also quilt. I would love to get back into quilting, but like,
and they knit and they crochet.
And I haven't crocheted ever, but I've done some knitting projects. But since this grandmother, Grace, who we love, passed away, we didn't really keep up with any of it. And so I would pick up like a knitting project here, or like in high school. One day in high school, I decided to sew a skirt. I wore it to school one time, and I just never wore it again.
I don't remember that.
Or in 8th grade, we took home ec and they made us sew like a shirt. Like you had to sew like a pillowcase. They had to sew like a button shirt, and mine was like so late 90s because it was lime green. Nice. And actually, if at the time, it's one of those things where like the 90s are so back that I can't believe I don't still have it, because it wouldn't fit. But it would be like in style now. But it was very like Spice Girls green.
Oh, I love Spice Girls.
So yeah, but in terms of like cross stitch, I never cross stitched before, but I did. We had another grandmother who sadly passed away when I was like 6. And like one of my only memories with her was spending the night at her house, and she had bought me a needlepoint kit, or maybe mom bought it, but there was a needlepoint kit there, and I needlepointed, but it was really just like a half stitch, 10 stitch situation. It wasn't, I didn't realize that needlepoint, I'm learning now, needlepoint actually has all of these fancy stitches. It was just half stitches. So it was basically a cross stitch that was a half stitch on a kit. And it was really fun. It was really cool, but she passed away, and so we didn't keep it up because she was the one that did that with me.
Mom's not a needle crafter.
No, mom is very good with the sewing machine. Like we had when we were, it was at our first house. So I was 6 or 7, and you and Valerie were littler, but these beautiful Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast gowns that her and Grace, I think she and Grace made them together, that were like the coolest Halloween costumes you've ever seen. Like
theatrical productions of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my god, they were.
Oh my gosh.
And even some of the things that Grace made, my mom held onto and has given to my son. And like he plays with one of these stuffed cats the way you would play with any stuffed animal, and he doesn't have any appreciation for the fact that it is, I'll bring it sometime, that it is like perfectly quilted. It is it's a 35-year-old quilted stuffed cat made by like, you know, whatever, like, so that's kind of our background. But I hadn't done anything. My main hobby is photography, and I'm a travel writer. So I have spent the last 8 years, well, more than that, but like professionally for the last 8 years, but then longer, taking like travel photos of some of the most beautiful places in the world. I have a terabyte of travel photography in online storage in multiple places backed up. Just if it ever went away, I would not survive it. And so when I saw what she had done with this travel photo, I was really impressed, but it didn't click on me until in like April or May. I was thinking about how AI is changing travel information, and so like my living is, I write an article like what to do if you go to Madrid for 24 hours, or how to spend 3 days in Milan, or what to do if you go to Athens, or what to do if you come to Oklahoma City. Like that's how I make money. But if AI is just going to scrape all my content, then I have had some real, I'm not going to talk about travel this much, but I've had some existential crises about being someone who puts information out for a living, and I have all these beautiful photographs, and I was thinking, is there something else I could be doing with my information and knowledge? And then it just kind of clicked. We went to a festival, a Czech festival in Prairie, Oklahoma.
Highly recommend it.
It was really fun, but
the outfits were amazing.
And we were talking, and it kind of clicked to me like, oh yeah, I could take all of these travel photos. I'm not really super interested in selling them as prints. That market is pretty saturated, and there are fairs and stuff where I could print out them and set up booths and things, and I'm just not really interested in that kind of.
But they translate so well.
I'm just not, yeah. But instead, I was like, well, maybe I could make cross stitch patterns. Now, I wasn't cross stitching at the time, but I knew I had her information, and I could do a bunch, and then I showed her what I'd come up with. And then she's like, well, why don't you just watch some cross stitch videos just so you have an idea for the customer service side of it? And I was like, but I have you. But okay, sure, I'll watch some videos. I started with the Stitchy Reader. I was looking for something specific, and one of her videos came up. And then I had a specific question, and the Giddy Stitcher came up. And then the Giddy Stitcher recommended Stitches by Shelby. And then Stitches by Shelby had a link to an Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch tutorial. And after I'd watched 4 Flosstubers, YouTube was like, oh, you only want to watch Flosstube. Okay, here's all the Flosstube. And so since May, May, June, July, I spent just like making patterns and watching Flosstube videos and going insane. And then for my birthday, I asked for some gift certificates to go get some cross stitch supplies. And I started my first one in the middle of the summer. So it's September 1st, so it's not been that long. But now I'm cross stitching insane. I got so sucked in so fast, but also it's easy for me to justify because it's like I have this art that I have made and I want to translate it into something useful and beautiful.
And y'all, they're gorgeous.
And it's actually like the act of finding a photograph that makes a good pattern is way harder for me than stitching it once I have it. I could spend 30 hours to find one. I could go from like a batch of like an entire trip's worth of, I take 1,200 photos a day when I travel, and I could go through 1,200 photos, find 5 that I think would make a good one. One might make a good one, and then I have to edit it down a lot. So that part is really time intensive, whereas the stitching is really relaxing. I also have a 3-year-old and I have an 8-month-old. So I'm working with very little brain power and very little sleep, and stitching has been really relaxing. So I feel like I'm working and being productive when I'm just sitting there stitching, but in a way that like my brain would not be able to write something or edit something, but I can sit there and stitch something, and I still at the end of it have something really beautiful and like good to like I didn't waste that hour. And then stitching has also filled some issues that I've been having. Like I've been trying to figure out, how do I model? My son is now old enough that he's starting to enter that age where he's going to have permanent memories. He's not going to have a lot of permanent memories of being 3, but he'll have 1 or 2. And so I don't want to be modeling being on my phone all the time. So I can't sit there and edit photos on my phone. And I don't want to always look like I'm working. I want to be able to enjoy our time together, but sometimes, you know, like I can't sit there and just watch TV. I need to be like doing something. So if he's playing beside me, I don't want to just be on my cell phone like all the time and modeling that, but I'm stitching. I'm still fulfilling my need of being like busy in multiple ways, but he's not learning, oh, you should be on your phone all the time.
He's learning that he wants to stitch.
We'll talk about it later, but he doesn't want to stitch. And then even like, also like, so it's fulfilling that, and then learning about like seasonal stitching. I think like something I started thinking about a lot last year was, how do I create holiday traditions for our family? Our family is multicultural. My husband's not American, so we have multiple holidays and holiday seasons and things to think about. So how am I like, you know, my son loves Halloween. My baby was born the Christmas Eve, so I was trying to make Christmas really special for him so he wouldn't feel like he missed out on Christmas. And seasonal stitching seems like a great way for me to be doing something I love, but also creating like a warm family atmosphere. But it's very deceptive because it looks very homemakery to sit there and stitch, but you're not like making socks for your children. You're making a piece of art for your, I mean, maybe the piece of art makes your home better, but it's still very, I think it's quietly revolutionary in a way where it's like, from the outside it looks very feminine, but on the inside it's very like, in a good way, very selfish and personal, and you're still relaxing, and you're still like doing something for you, because
it's very personal.
If you have kids, I'm sure the other people who have kids can relate too. It just takes, you know, you have to give so much of yourself, and sometimes anything you take for yourself feels selfish. So I really like that about this hobby. So I'm like all in, and my husband told me to stop buying things. But because I also plan on eventually creating a line of patterns, I feel like I can justify it a little bit. I don't know at this point if I'll make my money back anytime soon, but the IRS doesn't care. Like, you don't have to be a profitable business. Like,
It's not a rule.
So that's kind of like how we got into stitching and who we are. Oh, you went to the University of Oklahoma.
Twice.
So
I have a bachelor's and a master's from the University of Oklahoma.
I went to, I'm from Oklahoma. We lived here our whole lives. Well, no, that's not true. I grew up here. I went to the University of Kansas for undergrad, and I went to the University of Pennsylvania for grad school, and then I lived in Philly for 10 years, and then I moved to Eastern Europe while I was starting my travel business, and so a lot of my photography is European because I was living there for so long. And then I moved back at the end of 2020 when I had kids because I didn't want to I wanted to raise my children near my family and give them that. So, yeah, so that's us. All right. I have no idea how long we've been recording, but the red light's still on, so we're good battery-wise.
So far, so good.
All right, so we don't have any FFOs. We don't have any fully finished objects this week. Guys, the vocab with this hobby is maybe the best part about it.
It's so fun.
So we didn't have any full finishes. We both have full finishes that we turned into the state fair that we'll show when they come back. I learned from Flosstube this summer. I didn't know the state fair had cross stitch.
I didn't know that either.
And I covered the Oklahoma State Fair as a travel writer and went to the Oklahoma State Fair, and I had no idea, because I didn't go in the arts tent. I didn't know all of the day that I covered it, I was like on I was on an antibiotic because I had just had a small surgery. Yeah. And so I didn't realize the antibiotic was going to make me really sensitive to the sun. So we walked around and got the coverage I needed for the project I was doing, and then I was about to pass out. So we skipped a lot of the stuff, but I didn't realize there was cross stitch. And now I was looking at the food competitions, and my husband used to be a chef. He just recently switched to a different career, but I think that my husband and you and our brother should all be entering the food competitions next year.
I'm a big baker as well. Like,
way more.
You might hear me talk about with multi-crafting. I consider baking and cooking in my range.
So sometimes she'll not cross stitch for a little while. Usually because her projects are so big, she gets to the end of them and she's just like, oh. But then she'll bake a bunch of cookies. So. All right. Did you have any finishes in the last 2 weeks?
I had one finish. It was a start and a finish.
Oh.
I know, but that has never happened in the same week ever in my whole life.
She didn't stitch patterns. She only stitched.
I never stitched patterns.
Her own things that she created.
So let me show you.
I'm gonna open a Diet Coke. I will be drinking Diet Coke through every video. If that bothers you, our channel is not going to be for you.
Yeah. All right. So it's in frame, right? This.
I think so. We can't see
the Chicken of the Month Club.
So the camera that we're using has a flip out screen, but it hits the light, so we can't use it. So if any of our stuff isn't in frame, we'll insert pictures later to cover that up.
So this was the very first pattern I've ever done that was somebody else's pattern.
You did one.
Besides yours.
You did one pattern that you bought off Etsy, but you hated it.
The baby one.
You hated it. She threw away her finished piece and then never did another pattern again until this week.
That was 3 years ago. It was a present for her, and it didn't work out, and so I just abandoned it, and then I tossed it in the trash. So this is the first pattern I've ever done that I liked. This is Cornelius from Chicken of the Month Club by
I think Lori Holt. Oh, do you have the thing?
Oh, I do have this thing. Oh.
Who's it by?
It's by...
Designed by Lori Holt.
Lori Holt, yes. Which I absolutely love Cornelius. He is the cutest. Look at
But you're not going to be joining the Chicken of the Month.
I am not going to join the Chicken of the Month Club. I think one chicken this is a one chicken household. I think more than that would be too many chickens.
Your husband would just be like, I can't handle this.
We're a poodle household, so if I keep adding things, then It gets weird.
I love it. Oh, this is also the first time I've seen cross stitch not on Aida. And
I'm the first time I've ever done cross stitch not on Aida.
Because it's your first not full coverage piece.
Exactly. This is a linen.
And I'm obsessed with it. And I had already ordered some better fabrics for like new projects going forward, but I don't want to turn like it's
Oh, freaking cute.
even though I know this is gonna sound insane, but even though I've been watching cross stitch all summer, it doesn't people talk about all the time, it does not look as good like in photographs and on video as it does in person.
Oh,
so like I'm obsessed with this.
And like this is I'm considering this fully finished because the pattern, which is adorable, has this cute little chick right here. But like I said, I'm a one chicken house.
That was too many.
That's too many. It's too many chickens. So I've just taken the rooster. Just Cornelius is all I'm gonna display.
It's so pretty. And
so
this
he
is
is finished for me.
28 count Irish linen.
Yes, she get 20.
Which we'll talk about later in haul.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty. But the brand is like, it's not a brand that's current because I got it in a
She has a whole story.
stash thing, so we don't know the brand.
Fine.
But it's beautiful.
But I think the linen looks perfect with this color looks perfect.
It's so pretty.
With this chicken. So that's my only, and you saw the back of it, but this is the first time I've ever done one that's not full coverage. This is the first time I've ever done 28 count. This is the first time I have ever done linen.
It's
so
also the first time you've ever finished something in less than like 2 months.
I did this in 2 days. That's how excited I was when I started.
So cute.
And I didn't. When I picked it up, I knew I was really excited about it. I found it. Okay, so I got it at this place in Oklahoma City called the Savage Quilter, and I went in knowing it's a quilt store. That's what they're gonna.
We don't really have an LNS, but the Silver Nita in Tulsa is kind of famous, and we're gonna take a trip up there soon. And also, you can buy all the things online, and that's dangerous.
That is dangerous, but. So I knew when I went in there that I wasn't really going to find anything. And then she had the Chicken of the Month Club. There's lots of little chickens. So I picked out Cornelius, and I'm so excited. But that's, so if you're in the Oklahoma City area and you're looking for cross-stitch patterns, the Savage Quilter has a few. And they're testing it out. They might get more.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you can get, I know that's like the Fat Quarter Shop carries this line. But there's something nice about like supporting smaller. I like the Fat Quarter Shop. Yeah. Like I placed an order there, but it's something nice about supporting a local business trying to.
Well, and going in and talking to them about it was fun, and just learning like, oh, this is the new series we have in. We're just trying out. We're gonna see what works. And I'm like, yes, okay. Well,
there's a place that's like an excerpt of Oklahoma City that started doing like a 4th Saturday cross stitch, so we might check out. It's just. Because I'm so lucky that I entered the world of cross stitch already having her, because I can tell that everyone else in my life is already, except my son, is already bored of hearing about me talk about cross stitch, and I just started. So there's a few Oklahoma cross stitch things, like checking out the Silver Needle, and I think it's Primitive. I don't remember the name of the store in Wayne, but it's in Wayne, Oklahoma, and they have 4th Saturday of the month cross stitch that they just started, so I think we should try to do that one week. But it's like an hour away, so, and I have children, so it's not exactly easy, but all right. So I have one finished this week, and I like hurry up and tried to finish it last night just because I wanted to start some new stuff today. But this is it's full coverage on 14 count Aida, and this is a picture that I made. I'll insert the original picture. I made the pattern in Macstitch. Yeah, I bought a Macstitch subscription. It's much better than the free ones if you want to be able to replicate it. Like the free ones are great if you're going to stitch it yourself because you can make changes. But if you want something that you can give to someone else, Macstitch is really great. But it's yeah. Oh, we made the board and we forgot.
Oh, should we go get the board? Sorry.
Yeah, we should go get it.
Go get the board.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I may cut out this depending on what my body looks like getting in and out of frame.
It looks fine. Because, this is episode 1 and that's fine. It's going to be okay.
All right. Okay. So,
I'll hold the board. Look at that. Oh my God,
I bought a board
pretty.
at Goodwill, and then
not the board. I mean, the board's pretty, but
I'm obsessed with like how. Okay, so this is a place in Arch National Park called Double Arch, and you can see there's one arch here and there's one arch here. They're separate, and it's just one of the most beautiful places in the park. I love it. I love how the pattern, like even though I took it down to like 17 colors because I don't. Full coverage color mounts can get really out of hand. So finding photos that still look good with smaller.
How many colors?
17, I think. 17. Yeah. So if
a lot of detail.
Yeah, like because there's only 2 color palettes. There's blue and there's only one blue, and then all those other colors are in the stone. So you can really see like where the sun's shining and the you can tell that it's. I just like I'm obsessed with the level of like detail, and I don't know if it's going to translate to video, but the beautiful, like the beauty in the reds and the brown. I mean, they're all browns, but the browns that go from like a red brown, dark brown to like a light pink brown tan. Like I'm obsessed with it. So that took about 2 weeks to stitch, but I wasn't stitching it monogamously, and I also took a few days to get organized because I know like. I'm about to go from a few whips to a lot of whips, and so getting those kitted up and organized and things, like too many whips, was a lot. And I have a lot of time to stitch, but I don't have a lot of time to stitch depending on if my children decide they're not going to sleep, which has been happening. So yeah, but I just love it.
It's so cute.
So my plan as far as like patterns goes is like I'm not just gonna like open a shop and sell a pattern. I want to get to the point where I have like between 8 and 10 of these smalls. So this is only 4 by 5. I think it's actually like 5 by like a little bit less than 4. So I want to get to the point where I have like 8 to 10 of these smalls designed and stitched, and then I'll open the shop because I want to make sure when I start selling that I know I want to have models stitched for everything. Eventually I might get to the point where I know enough about it that I can sell a picture without having time to stitch the model, because some of them look good big but not little. But my plan is to do as many small ones as I can. It's really hard to find pictures that also look good small though, so that's the most part of it, is actually like making the pattern, not stitching it. But then I also am going to eventually have some mediums of like 8 by 10 if you stitch it on 14 count. If you stitch it on a higher count, then it would be smaller. But I want to do some 8 by 10s, and then I also have some things which I talk about in WIPS that are going to be much bigger than that. But finding photos that look at this small is hard. And I'm glad I have a terabyte of photos, because I probably have a terabyte of photos and 250 that look good at this size with that few colors. So
mining for gold.
But I love it. I'm obsessed with this.
It's beautiful.
All right, so those are our finishes. What's next? New starts. Do you have any new starts in the last couple weeks besides the chicken, which was...
Well, Cornelius was a new start, so we can look at him again. I just think he's so cute.
I just love the detail in the tail.
Oh my gosh. I made the tail way harder than it should have been. Like, I forgot how to count or something. This tail is a little bit extra long. Yeah, but that was my one start and finish. And then I have another start, but I like literally just started it. I've got a little bit of the border. And
we'll insert right here a picture of the pattern cover. Not of the pattern, but of the finished picture.
It's an Edgar Allan Poe quote.
Do you know who the designer is?
Yes.
I do. One of the things is not going to be stitching, it's going to be the organization around explaining what's being stitched that's going to be difficult.
Oh, for sure. I got it on Etsy by New York Needleworks.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, okay, let's see.
Can you show that?
I'll show this, but then if that does not look good, then we'll
insert photo here.
Yeah, we have the flip.
It says, I became insane with long intervals of horrible sanity. Edgar Allan Poe, which is just perfect.
Are you doing this specifically for like spooky stitching, or would you be stitching this regardless of season?
I am probably doing it mostly because it's spooky season, but it's something that will hang in my house year round.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
All right. Okay. So let's see. Oh, wait, we're still on new start. So that's your new start.
That was my new start.
let's see. I have 3 new starts from this week. Like I said, I'm about to have too many WIPs, but so one is one I got on Etsy for. Oh, isn't this cute? It's so cute. I don't remember who it's by. I'll just need to put a card in each bag that's like who's by, because sometimes they put like this one's from the Lakehouse Stitch Co, and I really like this one. And she puts her little tag on it, but they don't all do that. All right, so the first one is the tiniest little sad start, but actually I have to frog the entire thing and move it because, and I'll tell you why. So this is, oh, you hold that. Oh wait,
how the like automatically. It's apparently a magnetic board.
It's perfect. Here, move it down a little bit because the top, that's not what I had you iron, and of course.
Oh yeah, I didn't iron this one.
Oh, well that's cool, then we don't need to find the clips, we just can pull out some extra needle minders. I bought too many needle minders.
I want to learn how to make needle minders also, so that's
I think that would be
a fun project for my multi-crafter abilities.
Okay, let's see.
Some butterflies in mine.
I need to get more. Okay, so this is Frosted Pumpkin Cottage by the Witchy Stitcher. I wanted to participate in Stitchy for Witchy, which if you're watching this, you probably have been around longer than me and know about the Witchy Stitcher more than I do. But she's going through some health issues, which she posted about openly on her Instagram, and some of her friends in the community made a hashtag Stitchy for Witchy to get people to buy and stitch her patterns to help support her. And I just thought that was really cool. Plus, it's like the perfect time of year to be stitching Witchy Stitcher stuff. So that's what it's going to look like finished. If this doesn't come through, I'll insert it. Now, this is stitched on 14 count Rustico Ada. I heard someone pronounce it Rustico, so I don't know what the correct way to do it is. I like the fabric. I don't think I want to stitch on Ada going forward for things that aren't full coverage, but I do like this fabric, so I'm gonna frog this and keep it on this fabric. But look what I did. So and you would think I started it like that I must have made a mistake, like I cut the fabric and then measured it wrong later, but actually no. I didn't cut the piece. This is like, but I knew that I only had 2-inch margins, and I still measured a 3-inch margin for my start. And so this is only going to have a 1-inch margin over here if I don't move it. And I only stitched on it for like an hour, maybe not even a full hour. So before I decided, you know what, like because in the hoop I could tell, but I also couldn't tell. And then I was looking at, I was like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be in the middle and there's not enough fabric on this side. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to frog it and move it over.
Well, it's important for framing.
Yeah, and because it's a seasonal piece, I think I'm going to frame it myself and not have it professionally framed, in which case a 1-inch margin wouldn't be the end of the world.
Never framed anything myself.
I framed my entry for the state fair by myself, but we'll talk about that later, because that is, it looks good in the frame, but what's happening inside that frame is not what Elizabeth Ann Stitch's tutorial would suggest should be happening inside that frame. So I think I'm gonna just frog that and move it over just so it's in the middle, because I'm not very far, and it doesn't use much of this thread, so I'm gonna have so much of this color left over, and then also I have every thread. I basically have a full set of DMC at this point.
It's just black.
And that's just black, and I have so much black. So I think I'm just gonna move it. But it is a new start. And I love the pattern. I think it's super cute. And I love, I bought 4 patterns from her. So I'm going to start 2 more in the next month. And then one is not Halloween specific. And that one I'll do when spooky season's over. Because even though it is spooky, it's not like Halloween specific. And that one is more something that could hang up year round. So, all right, so that's start number 1. Just take it off. Yeah. Okay. And that needle minder is from I think it's Caffeinated Cat Lady. but it might not be. Let me look it up on Etsy. You know, I'm not going to be able to. I'll just insert the name. I really like her needle minders because they're very strong. All right, so the next one is this very strange keychain. So I'm going to tell the story. I'm filming a whole extra video about this kit, but my son was obsessed with the idea of stitching a shark. He's only, let's see, I hope that's in frame. I don't know if it is. Like, I hope you can see it. If not, I'll just insert a picture. But my son wanted to stitch a shark. He wanted me to stop stitching other things and only stitch sharks and whales. And he's only 3, so I knew he wasn't really going to be able to stitch counted cross stitch, so I needed a stamped kit. And I wanted something where even if it didn't have stitches in it, he would still like it. So he plays with this already like it's a toy. So we stitch it a little bit at a time. He kind of pulls the thread, but not really. It's like 250 stitches total, of which I've done about 50, but it sucks. Like, actually stitching on this sucks. So 50 stitches in one go with a 3-year-old constantly unthreading your needle it's an uphill battle, but it is fun to stitch it with him. And there were 5 little sea animals in the kit, so I'm probably just gonna keep stitching them with him just as like a pastime. Yeah. But when I get so the hoop that comes in sucks to stitch it in, but I don't know if it's big enough that I can stitch it in any other hoop that I own. I have in that haul I have a couple bigger ones that are big. I'm gonna see. I hate this hoop because there's not enough space to pull your needle through. So I would never stitch this for me, but this is for him and he loves it, and so I'm gonna keep doing it. When it's done, I'm gonna cut off the extra fabric and maybe kind of glue it into this hoop. I don't know if I should glue it into the hoop or if I should.
I don't know. I think we should YouTube that.
I don't know. This whole thing is it's like when you go on a beautiful vacation to Mexico and then you end up in the like local playground because your son wants to be on a slide and you're, you know, like Valerie, our other sister Valerie, who lives in Kansas City. We went to Portugal with my kids in April, and like she spent, you know, I spent an hour in a beautiful church and she spent that same hour with my son in a Portuguese playground while he slid on all the slides. And that's just kind of, this is the cross stitch equivalent of going to a Portuguese playground. So it's beautiful, or it's cool. It is what it is. He loves it. So here, just put that over there. Okay, so that's a new start. Hopefully it'll be a finish really soon. Ugh, I don't know.
Depends on how often he wants to.
Yeah, and I can only do 1 thread a day before it like hurts my hand. And then, okay, so this one is my last new start. Yeah, I'm not taking it out of the frame. I'm also restarting it, so it doesn't even matter. So, Witch's Garden Crafts, I'm in her Facebook group, and she put out this pattern, which is, Cara is what, I think is what Gomez Adams says to, what Gomez Adams says to Morticia, like what he calls her, and I just love it. And the 90s Addams Family movies are my favorite, but I also like Wednesday, the show, is the only show that has inspired me to like buy lipstick. Like I literally like looked up her makeup palette and bought her lipstick. I'm not wearing it now, but I love the night. I was in Transylvania for Halloween, and everybody in our group decided to go to like a club, and I was exhausted because I'd been like, it was one of those trips where you like are up at 8 a.m. and you're still doing stuff at 10 p.m. And then everyone decided, because they're in Eastern Europe, they're going to go to a club, and I was like, I will not be. I feel dead. So I went up to my hotel room and like watched Addams Family in Transylvania and like on Halloween. That's how much I love this movie.
That's cool.
But so I love this pattern. I'm obsessed with it. I don't think it's going to be a year-round thing in my house, but I think I'll be really excited when I pull it out. Cool. But here's my issue with my start. I think I'm doing a good job, but I'm sick of stitching on Ada. It just feels so loose and big, and after seeing what the chicken looks like on linen, I just think it will look so much better on a better fabric. And I've only stitched on it for one day. And I think instead of putting like another 10 days into it, that I would rather just start over on something that is prettier. Because I think the color scheme's good. Like it's on an ivory Aida right now, and I like the colors, but I don't like. So I'm running with scissors. I think it's Jane. Whoever sits on the left, I think it's Jane. It's Jane and Julie, but I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
The girl who sits on the left in the videos, in real life, it might be flipped. But she was saying how like she looked at one of her pieces and she just sees holes, and that's insane for her because her stuff's amazing. But for me, I look at this and I only see holes because Aida holes are gigantic, and I want it to look prettier and more delicate. And it's just a pattern in 310, so I have more 310 than I'll probably ever use. So I just want to, and I have I have 2 fabric orders coming, one from the Fat Quarter Shop and one from Lindy Stitches, where I've bought things I need for specific patterns, but also just a couple extra pieces because I need to figure out what I like. And I also want to learn and get better.
Yeah, I want to try.
Like, I don't think you thought you could do.
This was hard, y'all. Linen is, my time's over. But yeah, linen is hard.
But I don't think you thought you could do it, and then you did it in 2 days, and it looks amazing.
Right. And
you've been cross-stitching a lot longer than me, but I'm not going to learn if I do these pieces that don't need Aida on Aida.
Right.
I want to do my full coverage on Aida because that makes sense, and because I have a lifetime supply of Aida now. But I want to switch this to a better fabric. So I don't know what I'm going to switch it to, but I have some fabric orders coming in, and I'm going to just try something better. So
I would still do this color though.
I like it on ivory.
Like in an ivory color.
I don't want it on like, I like it on ivory. I ordered some ivory linen to do a long dog sampler that I'll talk about in starts. But I ordered a lot of it because I have some smaller long dog pieces too, and I want it all in the same linen. But I could use some of the extra for this because I could always order more for that because I'm not going to start that this week. Yeah. I'm going to start the big sampler for Sampler September, but I'm not going to start the little ones. Here, okay, that's the other thing is, there's 2 pieces. There's Cara, and then there's Mon Cher, which is what she says to him. And so I knew I wanted to do both, and I wanted them to match. So I already cut the fabric for the other one. So they're basically the same size. That big. So it's this with a 3-inch. I did a 3-inch, maybe a 2-inch, but I think I did a 3-inch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a 3-inch. So that's about what you need, like fabric-wise. So I think I can definitely get this and take this out of my linen order. I love it. Like, I saw it on Instagram and then joined her Facebook group because it's a freebie in her Facebook group. And then I saw her Sal, the Witch's Cabinet Sal, and was like, oh, I want to do that too, which we'll talk about in plans. But I'm obsessed with this piece, and the fact that it was a freebie is like crazy to me because it's like one of the most beautiful things I've seen. It's based on like a coffin plate. You know, like the old coffins have like those fancy coffin plates that say, I think they say who's in them, and they might not. But it's based on that. That's cool. It's really pretty. So I'm obsessed with that. So those are my 3 new starts, 2 of which I'm frogging completely and restarting, and one of which is the shark keychain. But she started cross stitching how many months ago? Like so recently. Like it's very July, impressive. In the middle of July. In middle of July. It's been 6 weeks or so. She is very impressive. So okay, so let's see, what is next? Okay. I don't know why I did that weird voice. Okay, so those were new starts. WIPS. You do have some WIPS. She'll always have some WIPS because she does BAPs. I prefer full coverage, but that's probably just because I didn't know what difference. And because the one you did that wasn't full coverage, you threw it away. And why would you invest your time doing... It wasn't full coverage, and I made it full coverage. And then I threw it away. And she stitched it twice, knowing she didn't like it the first time, and she thought it was her and not the pattern. I thought if I put it on it anyway, it doesn't... Let's not talk about that. So I have 3 WIPs then. This one's a start. We already talked about that. Okay, yeah. So I have the Raven one, but you already seen that. This one, let me pull up the pattern for it. Pattern fix. I have it because I made it. Oh, that's this one. Oh, sorry. That's okay. Oh no, go back to the other one. Nope.
Let's do it.
I don't even know if I have it on this iPad. I have it in my Dropbox.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely put a picture up because it's gorgeous.
And I'll put up what the original picture looks like too.
It just looks like a painting. It's so beautiful. This one is.
Oh, I do have it. Okay.
Okay, show.
So I have the pattern. So I called it in the Vineyard. I'll put up the photo. So this is what the mock-up looks like in Macstitch. And then here, insert picture, is going to be the original photo that I took. And it's a vineyard that me and our other sister and our children, and my children, had like a picnic in the Douro region of northern Portugal, which is like one of my favorite places in the world. But if you've never been to Portugal, which, you know, most people haven't, I also like that this could be Italy. It could. And we're back. So I have filmed YouTube videos before, but apparently I've never talked this long. I didn't realize my camera battery couldn't handle it until my camera battery died. So we switched to my cell phone instead of spending an hour waiting for my camera battery to
We pulled an audible.
Recharge. Yeah. So if the shot is framed slightly differently, or if the sound sounds a little different, we just switch cameras. And I'm gonna get some spare batteries, which they do recommend you get for being for doing this kind of video. I just never had to use them before. So I'll get some spare video camera batteries. And so next time this should not happen. We'll just switch them in and out. But we're gonna jump back in. We realized the last WIP got cut off, but because it's a long-term WIP that she'll be working on for a long time, we'll just talk about, if there's anything that we talked about that was important that we didn't get, we'll just add it next time, because we can't watch what we recorded because the camera's dead.
Battery died.
I was able to go in and see what we were doing where it stopped, but I couldn't. The camera didn't have enough battery after a few minutes to check what we were saying. So,
right.
But I don't think we missed anything important.
It stopped about here.
This is my only WIP that wasn't a new start. Okay, so Marjorie Maids has a thing that she started where she does pick-a-whip, and even though I don't know her and she's probably 15 years younger than me, I feel like because she lives in Northwest Arkansas that she's basically our neighbor, and we're just gonna run into her at an LNS, which we are not going to.
Probably not, but maybe.
I like her style, and I like her videos a lot. And she started this thing where she does pick-a-whip, and I'm too late for the year to get in on WIPGO, which is that WIP. It's that WIP bingo thing that they all talk about. That we'll do it next year, but I'm not gonna set up a goals board for this year. No. So pick-a-whip is fun for me because I can just jump in. So every couple weeks she's picking a new prompt. And the prompt this time was a sad, sad start. Now I, at this point, was a monogamous stitcher with a lot of other things that I was kitting up, but I didn't have any sad starts because I was 75% through that Arches piece. But so I picked this one because this is a sad start. So it was not a start, but it was a kit that I bought at the Salvation Army. So it was a kit somebody bought from Walmart. It's one of those Pioneer Woman kits. And
who is from Oklahoma,
and we go to Pawhuska all the time.
We love her.
And I write about Pawhuska. I have multiple travel websites, and one of them is just focused on Oklahoma, and I write about Pawhuska a lot. I love it. I actually want to, one of my goals is to write a full travel guide to Pawhuska and sell on Amazon, but
I will contribute.
And Osage County.
The cutest little tiny houses that are on that main street, and we stayed in there last time we went to Pawhuska, and it was so cute.
So we love the Pioneer Woman. So everything I'm about to say is not a reflection of the Pioneer Woman.
No, we love the Pioneer.
We love her. I'm actually supposed to go to Pawhuska again this fall, with some of my friends, but
help me.
I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
But this is a sad start because this is a Pioneer Woman kit. I'm gonna review the kit and her kits later in a separate video, so I'm not going to talk about what I like and I don't like about the kit. I'll just talk about specifically why this is a sad start. So this is this picture in the original, and I have it actually. Let me get it out. So in the kit, I bought it at the Salvation Army because it was $5. It was $4.99. And I bought it because it has a lot of backstitch and French knots, and I thought, oh, it'll be good for me to practice. Plus it has a super cute display hoop that you would get it like a box store for like $4 or $5 by itself, and so just the hoop alone was pretty cute. So I bought it, and I don't like the words around it. I think her other kits are prettier, but I was not shopping at Walmart. I was shopping at the Salvation Army, so this is what they had. And I bought it for the educational aspect of the specialty stitches,
Which is a great idea.
I don't like the words. I have an elderly dog, and when she passes away, I'm probably going to try, and very small children. So when she passes away, I'm going to go a few years, maybe without a dog, unless my husband is like revolts. But
I think he'll be okay.
I love having an older dog. I've had her since I've had my dog since 2008, like since the Obama administration. Since the George W. Bush administration.
Really?
Because I got her, and then I went to Obama's first inauguration.
Oh, okay.
So I know for a fact I got her the Chris,
and our younger sister had her
first. She'd been rehomed a couple times. So my dog Lucy, she has flown transatlantic multiple times. She's been to 6 countries. She has.
Oh my gosh.
She's
well-traveled dog.
Like my best friend. Like she's a great dog, and she comes over here when we travel. She stays here. She's a great dog. But
we love hosting.
So when she passes away, I'm probably, and she's 15.
I thought you said she was 16.
She was born in 2008.
Oh my
so she's 15.
Wow.
So Shih Tzus can live to be 22, and the average age of a Shih Tzu is 16, like life expectancy is 16. So it's not like she's like on death's door or anything. I'm not saying that. But when she passes away, I'm probably not going to get another dog right away because of the small children. I don't want to adopt an elderly dog because I want a dog I can have for 15 or 16 years. And I also don't want a puppy because you have a puppy. Well, you have a 2-year-old who still acts like a puppy.
2-year-old.
And it's a lot of energy. And I don't think I'm going to get away with getting as small of a dog as Lucy again because Lucy's like, she can fit under a plane seat.
It's perfect travel.
Which is the exact size of dog I want. But I think we're going to get, my husband probably wants something else. He's, anyway.
You would be surprised. Jared loves the mini poodle. We have
Allison has a mini poodle and a standard poodle.
And the mini poodle is just so much easier to deal with. All that energy is containable. Yeah. When the dog is 50 pounds and mini horse size, it's hard to contain that energy.
So I'm going to take away the words because a home without a dog is just a house. I'm not going to want that on my walls when my dog passed away. But also, this dog passed away because this dog
was very old.
Is named Charlie, and the kit is named Charlie, and was the Pioneer Woman's pet dog. There's an ice cream shop in Pahuska named after this dog, and so I get immortalizing your dog, and I don't think he had passed away when they made this kit, but
he recently.
It's one thing to stitch or see a painting of an animal that's like 100 years old, and like everything in this painting is gone. It's a very different thing to be like, oh, this dog just died, and so. It makes me think about my elderly dog, and anyway, so that is why I picked this for the sad set start.
Well, and these are the saddest looking dogs anyway. They naturally look like they're a little bit sad.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish, my plan is to finish stitching the dog, do the specialty stitches, and then see what threads from the kit I have left, because the kit, I don't love stitching from a kit, but I feel like this was a good experience.
It's a great way to learn.
I'm going to see, so the specialty stitches are in this color and this color. Then I'm going to see what I have left of those 3 colors and like some of the browns. And then what I have in my stash that matches them. And then I'm going to put in some flowers around it so that it's bigger than just this tiny little dog. If I had known I wasn't going to stitch the words when I bought it, I probably would have stitched this in a Christmas color or something so I could turn it into an ornament. But this color is like basically my favorite thing about this picture. So that's my plans with this. I go back and forth between loving it and hating it. One of the reasons I hated it was because the Ada was really, really stiff, like was hurting my hand stiff. And you had the suggestion of washing it in dish soap. And I did that yesterday and it is much softer. So we'll see when I stitch
That
it
might
again.
be like a cardinal cross stitching. No, I don't know.
No, I googled it. I didn't.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay, good.
And there were some other videos
Okay,
on
good.
like how to soften stiff Ada. Now they didn't do it after the stitches were in, but I'd already watched cross stitch, so I knew.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't
also,
hurt.
it was a $5 kit, so I'm really only investing time, not money, into this one.
Right.
So that's Charlie. This is Charlie.
Sad start.
My sad start.
R.I.P. Rest in peace.
Just the circle of life.
It is.
So, okay, so that's my sad start. So that's my only whip that wasn't a new start because my other whip I finished last night.
Yay.
All right, so let's move into plans. What are your plans for the next couple weeks?
Okay. So for the next couple weeks, I want to work on, what are we calling it? The Vineyard?
Yeah.
I'm going to work on the Vineyard and really see how far I can get on
So
that.
pretty.
It is so beautiful, and I know it's going to take so long that I want to give it its proper time because I don't want it to take months and months and months, which it usually does. So we'll see how much I work.
I
on
bet
it,
you
but-
stitch so much more because we're going to be doing these videos and because we're talking about cross stitch all the time. But there is a limit where your hand just hurts and your eyes hurt and you can't go past that limit.
That's not my fear. So my fear is my world is wide open, and now I've started and finished one that wasn't mine in 2 days. So now what else am I capable of? I am Superwoman. I am ready to go. So
I think that's great. And also this
I'm not
piece you're
sure.
stitching is a gift for me.
Yes.
And I love it, but I also will love it if you get a bunch of other stuff done and it takes longer. Like
I
you're not
know.
on a deadline.
I know I'm not on a deadline. I like to see things through to completion though, and I never before had side quests. So we'll see how much longer it takes. Because if it normally takes me 4 months to do a full coverage about this size, which it usually does, 4 to 6 months if I'm not motivated. I don't know if we add in side quests how much longer that will take.
We'll
So
see.
we'll find out.
All right,
So I'm
those are
gonna
your
do
plans?
that. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do the Edgar Allan Poe one, and then that's it.
Okay.
That's all
And
my
that's a
stuff.
lot for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. That's plenty.
Yeah. So every single Flosstuber I watch has mentioned this. So if you've heard this 30,000 times, I apologize. But the New Hampshire Stitcher is hosting the Baps to School Sal. And I do have another whip because I technically put stitches in it, but it's really fun to talk about in plans too. I got inspired to take one of my pictures that is, I'll have you hold it, but the idea that this is a start is so funny because it's like, I just literally put in one thread last night just because I didn't know if I was going to have time to stitch today and I wanted it started. Yeah. And it's,
oh, that is so,
Isn't
that
it cute?
needle minder's a little camera.
because this is based on one of my photographs. So, and
Oh, that's cute.
I think it's Jane. In running with scissors Flosstube, the girl on the left.
You should
We
look up her
should
name.
look up her name. But
Let's look up her name.
I know it's Jane and Julie, and I think Jane sits on the left. But she has a bag that's a bag that is cameras because she's really into photography, and I haven't watched enough videos to know if she was a professional photographer or if it's a hobby, or if she's in between. But like, that's one of the reasons I really like her channel is I just feel like a connection with her. But yeah, so it's a little
so
camera.
funny.
They're
It's so
great.
funny.
They're great.
But that is so cute.
Okay, so this is based on one of my favorite photographs I've ever taken, but it only looks good as a 16 by 20. So even I wanted to stitch it as like an 8 by 10, but it looks like, just doesn't look good as an 8 by 10 because it's just too detailed. So this Back to School Sal, big ass project Sal, was a perfect excuse to start this because it's so that's the mock-up from Macstitch, and then I will also insert here the original photo. I saw this street scene when I was walking around near Galata Tower in Istanbul. Istanbul is one of my favorite cities. I lived in Bulgaria for 4 years, and Istanbul is like a train ride from Bulgaria, but I also, the first international trip I ever took, I was inspired to go on. It was like a group tour, and it was going to go to Rome and Istanbul because it was like a Roman history tour. And if it had just been if it had just been Rome, I probably wouldn't have gone because it wouldn't have felt like once in a lifetime. But I was like 26 and I had not traveled internationally except for like a day trip to Mexico. And the trip included 3 days in Istanbul. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do Istanbul by myself. Like I'll have to, like I you know, like, so I went on this trip and it changed my life. And after that, I was just like, I have never not had an international trip except during the pandemic planned since I went on that trip. Like even before I quit my job and switched into travel writing and stuff, that trip changed my life. So Istanbul is one of my favorite places and I've been a lot. And this picture, again, this you cannot tell, is one of my favorite pictures, but I also took it on my most recent trip. So it's not like an old picture. This picture, this was the last international trip I took. It actually was when my friends from high school came and visited us in Bulgaria. Yeah, because she was based in Abu Dhabi at the time, and then Ethan came from Oklahoma. But
Cool.
Okay. So I love it. I just like, I love old furniture. I love the shop. You can't tell that it's Istanbul, but I know that it's Istanbul. And there's also a little Easter egg where it's like in that mirror is me.
Oh,
Like you can't see it. Like somebody stitching it wouldn't know that that's the
oh,
photographer
but that's
in it,
you.
but I know that it's me.
That's awesome. So,
So,
you're in your wrap.
I love it.
I love it.
So yeah, so it's gonna be 16 by 20. So even with the hoop on, and I don't like stitching this with all this extra fabric on this hoop. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So it's gonna be big.
I've never done one this big.
I expect it to take me at least 2 years because I'm never going to stitch it monogamously. So my goal is to, in September, to do 200 stitches in it every day. And then that will there's 17,000 stitches of just this color of black brown. So if I stitch 200 stitches in it a day, every day of September, I will not get out of the black brown. But I'm not going to park it because the way my children are, a lot of times they'll just come up and be like, I need something, like, put your stitching down, mommy. Or Molly will just be like, I pooped myself. So like, because she's 8 months old.
She's 8. She didn't talk yet. But
So she's 8 months.
she's 8 months.
So I can't deal with anything that's going to deal with parking because I can't deal with anything where I'm ensnared. Like I need to be able to throw my needle on a needle minder, put it to the side, and get out of the chair.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to park it. So it'll be interesting to see. This is also kind of just an exercise in, do I ever want to stitch something this big ever again? It might be the only one that's 16 by 20 that I ever do in my whole life. And so I'm glad it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. So, I mean, and it, even though it's really big.
Show the bag too, because I love the bag.
Okay, so this bag, I got it from
I'll hold it.
Carrie Sews For You on Etsy, who's one of my favorite. I mean, I know I just started, but I bought bags from a few different people, and I placed an order for more bags. This is a Christmas bag. I put this one in there because the picture's from Turkey and St. Nicholas is from Turkey, but I'm actually going to switch this out. I ordered a special bag that's just cats because like Istanbul is famous for its cats from the lady who makes this bag. So I can switch it and then that will be free for like Christmas stitching because I just put it in there because it was the only bag I had that could hold all this stuff. And even though it's a big, like full coverage, I got it down to 37 colors because it's a very like, greens, blacks, and golds are really the only colors in it. So you have a lot of detail, and I have abominated some of them, but I ran out of patience. So I'm excited about this project. So
Here's your bag.
thank you. So my other plans are, besides frogging those two and starting over, is coffee and eggs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so everyone knows Artsy Housewife at this point because she put out some patterns like for, if you didn't know her before, I think the patterns that she just put out for that marketplace thing that everyone was talking about that are just like incredible. But if you haven't seen it for some reason, I'm obsessed with this picture. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I kept looking at it and looking at it and seeing it in more people's feeds. And I think Olivia, there's somebody who's going to stitch it.
I've seen it on a Flosstube.
I've seen it on a lot.
I
So
don't know
I ordered all of the stuff to do it from where. What is?
No, tell them what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm showing it. 1 second. I gotta find my files. Here we go. I need to get. I didn't realize how disorganized I was until I tried to do this. I might have to Google it. My Etsy isn't logged in on this iPad.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I bought the pattern, and I'm gonna start it as soon as the kit gets here. Like as soon as the stuff gets here from not from Etsy, from there we go. I bought the PDF from her on Etsy, and I ordered the fabric, but I'm gonna do it in, I don't remember. I think I bought, the fabric that's called for is like Baked Clay by
So it's like 32.
Fox and Rabbit. I think it's 32 count, but I might have bought a 28 count now that I'm thinking about it, because they might have been sold out of it. But I'm obsessed with this. To me, it's reading New Deal era 1930s art from America, but also like socialist, like Eastern European art, which is like, that is my sweet spot between the two.
That's such a weird sweet spot. I love it. I absolutely love
It's
it.
my entire personality.
I love it.
I also placed a large order from Forest Embroidery, which we'll talk about whenever it gets here. I'll be stitching a lot of like things that look vaguely Eastern European, because
I think it's so funny because my style's kind of like, well, first of all, it's like whatever the hell I want. But other than that, it's like gothic.
yeah,
And
our
yours is
styles
so,
are
like,
very different.
classic and beautiful artwork. And I'm
Yeah.
like, let's throw a skull in there.
One of the things I like about Flosstube, and I think Lunar Witch Stitchery, and I might be saying that slightly wrong, I think she articulated it really well, was like, she was saying, and I'll link below if I'm getting it kind of mixed up, but she was saying that like, she didn't expect people to like her Flosstube because she's just very unapologetically her at all times. And I'm like, I'm kind of like that, and you're kind of like that, and that's what's nice about Flosstube is it's a place where a lot of people who are themselves but are all very different are all
We all have our own flavor.
giving
of
each other
weird,
stuff.
I love it.
So like, yeah, so that's
Love it.
my, like, if I see Cyrillic writing, I'm like in. So Forest Embroidery, I'm in. This, I want to make this, like, I'm not kidding. I want to make this picture my entire
You
personality.
should do it.
Like, I'm going to stitch this, and then we're hopefully going to move next summer. I'm going to get it fully finished, like, right away. And then when we move and get a new kitchen, I'm going to base my entire kitchen decor around this picture.
And you don't get it framed until you know what your kitchen setup is going to look like.
I want to get it framed, but I'm not going to get it framed in a way that's, like, trendy at all. No, I'm going to get it framed, like, professionally, but not, like, I like a real eclectic gallery wall style, and I have art sitting in my husband's house my husband's sister in England, and my ex-husband are both holding on to parts of my art collection for me, like, and as soon as we have a house, I'm gonna have
a lot.
And I've also been collecting pieces that are sitting in a folder that I haven't gotten framed. So like, as soon as we move, I'm gonna have an entire like mature adults art collection. As like, I don't have a mature adults a lot of collections because I've sold all my stuff multiple times from moves and like different things, but my art collection is solid. And so whatever I get it framed as, I'll create a gallery all around it, as long as I like that piece. I might not get the Charlie fully finished until I know what the situation is, like that he's gonna go into, because that's a weird piece.
Yeah.
But this piece is now my entire personality.
I love it.
So that's plans. I also have some other patterns and things, and I wouldn't be surprised in 2 weeks if I have an entirely, other than this picture, which is now my personality, I don't know what else I'll be working on. Oh, I'm going to start a little picture. I'm going to start one of the smalls from my own travel photography of a beach in Iceland that I really like, that is all kitted up and ready to go, but I'll show you guys that later. All right, so haul.
I did buy, she has inspired me to.
I spent too much money on cross stitch, but we're not going to talk about
We
it.
won't talk about that. But I decided I could use an update in some of the things I do. Like instead of squinting, I could get a light. So my haul includes I put stuff all over everything, but just a light for my, I don't know where it went.
It's like one of those neck lights. Where did
It's a
it go?
neck light.
I'm so confused as to how it could not be
I
here.
know, right? Oh, there it is. It's a neck light. So I had been using natural light and then stopping. If once the natural light goes away, I just stop stitching. And now I don't have to.
Whereas I can only stitch really mostly at nights, and my apartment isn't lit, so that was not really an option for me.
Well, I don't have kids. I do have dogs.
Dogs
but
that are
I do
as
not-
wild. My
they're
children are wild
wild.
animals, but your dogs are also wild
They
animals.
are wild animals. But I don't have that problem, so I can stitch whenever I want to, and now I really can. I don't know why I didn't think of this before.
I love it. I have one in purple, and I didn't mean to. I match my iPad case, but mine is. It does. It's cute. They look together because I use them together all the time.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't mean to. I just bought the purple one because it was like $2 cheaper than all the other colors. That
Oh,
day.
I didn't even see. I just was like,
It was
oh,
like
that's
one of
so
those
cute.
things where like it was like $21, $20, $22, and it made no sense why they were different.
Yeah.
But we love it, and I'll link that below because it
It's
is
so
on
cute.
Amazon, and it was life changing for me.
And it has different lights.
If you do the
mood
serious,
lighting.
if you're like a serious person, you're probably not watching this Flosstube. But if you're like a serious stitcher and you need like the magnification and the headlight,
Oh yeah.
this is not that level.
I have only ever 28 count is the smallest I've ever gone on, and I still did it over 2. So I'm not like a tiny stitcher yet. Maybe I don't.
Maybe
That might
one
be.
day.
That might be in my future.
I feel like when my daughter's old enough that we're like fixing up the dollhouses, I'd like to stitch some really cute tiny things to put in the dollhouse, and maybe we do some like fun miniature stuff.
That'd be cute.
But that's a few years away. All right. Do you have any other haul besides you got some patterns, but
I got some patterns, but I don't have them to show you
okay. So my
show 'em next time.
haul, we're not gonna actually.
because I'm not gonna stitch on them, so you don't need to see them.
I'm not going to. Okay, so my haul, we're gonna put a hard line that this is the first video, and anything I bought until this video counts as stash, and I'm not going to go through one by one and give my husband or the IRS an accounting of all of the things I purchased because technically it's a hobby, but I'm also doing it as part of my professional travel business, and so these things are business expenses. But
Let's just say that it looks like she's been cross stitching her whole life, and it's been 6 to 12 weeks. But she is prepared.
But yeah, but I know what I need.
Knitted.
And some of it was like the light and stuff for the videos.
Oh right, which we.
But
needed.
okay, so but there is one haul that I want to talk about that's pretty funny. So other than the artsy housewife pattern that I bought yesterday and the fabric and stuff that I bought for it, which I'll show you guys when it gets here, I went on Facebook Marketplace and I looked to see if anybody was selling cross stitch supplies nearby, and this one lady had a $35 white trash bag full of cross stitch supplies, and I went there. I mostly was just curious. Like I could tell from the pictures there was enough stuff in it that it was gonna be worth at least $35 to get it, but I was just mostly like curious, like what was happening in this. So it's like a lifetime supply of white Aida and like a few pieces of linen. It's not a full set of DMC, and because I'm still organizing it. So, but it's like, it feels like, I'll put a picture in right here of all of the threads as I got them before I started organizing them. Now I've organized them into like numbers and have started organizing them. Like I organized them into like their hundreds, like 800, 900s. But these are all the threads that were included that were not DMC or there weren't any brands but DMC that I recognized. These are the ones, like there weren't any like colored cotton or anything like that. These are, a lot of these are JP coats. And you can I asked the lady, I was like, did you have a family member that cross-stitched or something? And she's like, these are from 3 different places. But that didn't really seem like it was, because the way that she had in the stash, the way that the person who was using the skeins, any skein that was like partially used, they were all wrapped the same way. So maybe they were from 3 different places, but I think it was one artist, like one cross-stitcher. But some of these ones that are not DMC, like the DMC's like, some of them are really old and some of them are new. So I still will need to check that the old ones that are the right colors, because some things do change over time. But some of these old ones that are not DMC were kind of fun. Like some of them list, like they're just brands that I have not really heard of, or some of them list like prices, and on the price will be like, you know, like DMC right now is like 60 cents. Well, some of the DMC is listed like 30 cents or 10 cents. And it's like, how old is that? Like, so these are all the, like, and I was just going to get rid of these ones that aren't DMC because I can't stitch up any pattern mock-up. Like any stitch that I'm doing as a mock-up, I can't do it in a non-DMC brand. But you convinced me to go ahead and keep them and see maybe there's something or that comes along where it won't matter. Yeah. And some of the, I looked up some of the brands. Some like this is, what brand is this? Designs for the Needle. I don't know. But there's so much DMC, I don't think I'll ever run out of DMC.
Yeah, you're good. Good for a while.
The hard thing will be getting it all.
If you keep doing gigantic.
I know. Well, and it's like, and some that's like, I don't know what all the numbers are, so I don't know if every number's in there.
Yeah.
Now,
you need to get a book. I saw this on a Flosstube. You need to get a DMC book.
Oh, I looked at them. Some of the places have them for relatively like 30 or 40, but some places have them for $75.
Oh, are they really nice?
So they're not really nice.
That's something I might pick.
It's just, it's not that they're really nice. It's that it's like, if you want to design, like I'm designing stuff, but off of photos. So it's not super necessary for me to like pick between blues and stuff. Like, but once I make the pattern, then I pull all the colors, and sometimes I will see a color where I'm like, I don't want that color in here, and I'll swap it. So it would be nice in that way, but I don't think it's gonna be for me. But so the rest of this haul, this is the stuff I pulled out of the haul that I am not holding on to. Well, actually, we decided
you want me to hold it?
These 2 dimensions kits. So in the haul were these 2 dimension kits. I know I'm not gonna stitch them; they're not my style, but they're not my style, but they're pretty. Like I get why people.
I like this one.
I get why people would want to stitch them, but they're not
my style.
My style.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is crazy. So sometimes I forget, like, why didn't I stitch anything between when I was 6 and now? And it's like, well, because this is what the 80s were like. And if you don't know the 80s or early 90s, it's not all like fun, cool retro. Some of it is like, these are bathrooms. These are patterns of bathroom to put on your bathroom wall, but they're not like
it's just a toilet.
It's literally a no. This one says no parking during rush hour. Like, I get put.
Somebody might think that's great. I do not.
This is just a book of different things that say welcome,
which is personally offensive.
You're like, you are not welcome.
You're not welcome.
It's
are
not,
you nice?
It's not junk. It's a collection. Some vintage Christmas that
I kind of like that one, but where's the pattern for
I think I think the Prairie Schooler vintage is more my style than this, but I'm gonna take the ones that, and then this is a wooden board kit where you put like a note for each other, and I don't think it's cross stitch, it's actually
like
embroidery.
A phone, like you write down.
Yeah, it's like for phone messages. It's like
phone messages.
And
from the 80s.
What year? Can I figure out what year this is? And it's not even, this was not even cross stitch, but like, you know, typewriter typing that's been copied. Like, it's just old school. And as someone who remembers those decades, this is not the parts of those decades that I remember fondly.
Yeah.
So those are like kind of like anti-haul. Like, I have acquired them and now I need to get rid of them. We are going to hold on to the dimensions kits. I don't think we're going to stitch them, but we'll hold on to them until we figure out what we want to do.
Sure.
But I'm not holding on to a needle craft board for a foam message system or a toilet.
The toilet one is weird. And it's not that I'm against stitching a toilet, because now that I say that over and over again, it kind of like appeals to me.
It would, but it's just...
But not that toilet.
Not that one. We're going to try to wrap up real quickly. We just have one segment left, and that is Flosstube University. So Allison's been cross-stitching for 5 years, but I spent my summer at Flosstube University learning how to cross-stitch for many weeks before I was actually stitching a single thing. So we figured, we love how like a lot of channels will shout out other Flosstubers, but we figured we specifically try to mention things we learned from those Flosstubes, because it's kind of nice to let people know, like, we don't just like enjoy watching you, but you're actually like
You're entertaining but informative.
but you're passing on like
we liked all of it. Big fans, all of it.
So, who do you want to talk about?
My obsession right now, besides running with scissors, which they
I
are
love them.
hilarious, are the Floss Boss and Cousins, and I just think they are so fun, and watching them just gives me such joy. But I identify with the monogamous stitcher because I am the monogamous stitcher, and it's very eye-opening to watch her go from the 1 to, I think she said 17 whips now.
And her
whip
parade last week.
And her whip parade, I think she had 17 whips, which I mean, that's like my future. I have a feeling it's coming. So she has taught me it's a slippery slope. So I'm going to be right there with you. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But they are so great. If you haven't
they're so funny.
watched them, they're so
funny. And it's crazy that they're only on their 11th video, because I feel, if you told me they had 500 videos, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Like, I would watch all of them.
I mean, they're so funny. And like good. They're
They're really good.
really good.
So I'm going to say, like, first of all, the Giddy Stitcher was the first person who told me what the word Flosstube was. So that was a big change in my life.
I had never heard of it.
Because she was explaining in one video how her channel is a Flosstube, but kind of, but not really, because she does a lot of tutorials on other things, and she's a multi-crafter, and she's not, just doing like whip updates and stuff. But I spent one day organizing my son's room, which he has every toy that's ever been created. My son
multiple houses.
And I don't buy him toys, so I don't know where they come from.
You know where they come from. Grandma.
My mom has also held on to every toy, and our other sister.
Oh yeah, she has a shopping problem.
And my husband will just come home with
just children's toys.
Yesterday, I told Jordan and I had a big fight, my son, about like where you can't have any chocolate. And Valentine came home from his errands and had M&Ms for him, and didn't know that we had just had this big thing about you can't have chocolate. So Daddy just walks in and gives him chocolate.
Oh my god.
I was organizing my son's room, and getting all the toys and like some sort of order, and also redoing his closet and things. And I just had every single art video of the Giddy Stitcher playing, and I learned what a Flosstube was. That was really great. I also one of the things she talked about was multi-crafter, and I was like, that's what Allison is. It's like, it's not that you just do something and you switch, it's that like that fulfills a particular part of your brain to switch. Whereas I have been, like, photography has been my only and main hobby for like almost my entire adult life. I bought my first digital camera not my first digital camera, but I bought my first DSLR, like, nice camera, and started a photography blog that's now defunct in 2007. So like, it's been a really long time.
Okay.
But which is also how I know like I'm gonna like cross stitch, because it's the only thing I like as much as photography, and it also is an outlet for photography. So I digress. Anyway, so I learned from her that Flosstube existed, and then and what a multi-crafter was, and then I also learned about like start-alongs and stitch-alongs, and like she just is really good at explaining things. And she just got back from a cruise. She posted a video yesterday, and she went on a Greek cruise, and it's funny because so many of the places she's been to are some of my favorite places, and she said the Bay of Kotor was one of her favorite, like, was one of the most beautiful places. And I love the Bay of Kotor. It actually inspired me to go, and I'm gonna go this week. I'm gonna look at my photos from Bay. It's in Montenegro.
I don't know what that is.
So I lived in Bulgaria. Next door to that is Serbia, which is part of Yugoslavia, and Montenegro was also in the former Yugoslavia.
Oh, okay.
So it's like all like it's like Croatia, Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, Greece.
Oh, okay.
And then Bulgaria over here hits Greece too. And then below that's Turkey.
So it's like your hood.
It's my hood, yeah. I have one of my websites is about travel in Oklahoma, and then naturally another one of my websites is about travel in the Balkans. So I love the Bay of Kotor, so I'm gonna go look at my photos. So I'm learning every time I watch one of her videos, I learned what a biscornu was. Like, I love her videos. I wish she put out longer videos, because hers are really done really well and edited really well, and so they end up being shorter, because but I would just listen to her talk about like random things for an hour. Like, I don't need a 10-minute perfect video. I could listen to her all day.
Yeah.
So I love her. And then I've just watched like 1 billion Flosstubers.
Oh man, I've seen so many. I've been looking specifically for people's first ones, like people who just started, because we were dipping our toe in. So, and there are some really funny ones, y'all. Like the ones from other countries, especially. Like I like the ones that have like different accents. Everyone has different craft stores in their arsenal. So we get to hear about the new places that I've never even heard of.
Or whatever somebody
like
from
Stitcher or whatever, and then you go.
Whenever somebody from Great Britain is on and they talk about how difficult it is if they don't live in London to get like supplies and things.
Yeah. Makes me
Stitchy Friends.
Happy. Oh, I love Stitchy Friends.
Okay, Stitchy Friends and Running with Scissors are the reason I was like, I want Allison to do this with me. Because I was going to do this as somebody who'd stitched for like a month by myself. Because I live my life online. I'm a blogger. Like that's, like I'm a travel blogger. Like I had all the photo equipment except the light. So I was going to do it. And then I was like, Allison should do it with me. Like those channels are so fun to watch when it's two people. Like, and Stitchy Friends could be an SNL skit. Like, and they just would need to heighten it a tiny bit. And it would, it's very like coffee talk.
Yes.
But in like a fun way. Like, there's so, and what I love too about both of those channels, but also about most of the channels that have two people, is there's one person that will be hard on themselves, and then the other person will just be like lifting them up, like just saying like how great they are, or like, oh, but you won't feel like that, or like, oh no, like it's so good. But sometimes Stitchy Friends, Sarah will get in one of the more recent ones. Like, Sarah's like, she's never used her sewing machine before, so she broke mine.
That's so funny.
And I love it. Sarah followed me back on Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay.
You're friends with Sarah?
I'm not friends with her, but she did hit follow back, so
nice.
That was pretty exciting.
That's really
that kind of made my day one day. So
that's what they're talking about when they're like, the Flosstube community is a community. Like,
so we wanted to be
so sweet.
And I was so lucky because I had her. I didn't, I had someone to talk to, but like it's fun to like
Stitchy sisters
join into.
No. We're not doing that.
So that's those are the channels that inspired me to be like, oh, Allison, you're just gonna do this with me, and it'll be more fun.
And I'm like full on about it.
Yeah,
like, let's do this.
Yes. But you don't have to edit it. So
I don't.
All right, so that is all we have. I hope we're still recording. All right, so if you are still here, that's wild.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So much. Our goal is to put one out every 2 weeks. I'm sure that will become challenging during different parts of the year, but we're gonna try it, and then we're gonna have some extras, little different things that we're doing, different kit reviews and things, just to because we have a lot to talk about, and we're boring everyone else in our lives.
You're just learning about everything, so you're discovering new things. I'm just learning everything about this community, and even though I've been stitching for a while, like I didn't know any of this.
I know, it's crazy.
We're both like head first. We're just gonna do this.
So thank you guys so much. We'd love it if you liked and subscribed so that we can grow. And then if you, leave a comment and say hi. We're not going to do like a big, push for anything today, but just
say hi.
Just say hi. Like, subscribe, say hi. And we'll see you next time.